Few experiences are more painful than realizing some relationships only work when you keep giving. Many empaths spend years believing kindness will always be appreciated, loyalty will be returned, and putting others first is simply the right thing to do. They become the listener, the helper, the peacemaker. But over time, the more available they are, the more that availability is expected. What once felt like love can slowly turn into obligation. The shift often begins the moment an empath sets a boundary. Suddenly, some people react in ways they never expected. Conversations change, attitudes shift, warmth feels conditional. It is not because the empath became cruel or stopped caring. In many cases, the only thing that changed was that they stopped saying yes to everything, and that single change reveals truths that had been hidden for years. The uncomfortable reality is that some people value the support an empath gives more than the empath themselves. They grow used to endless patience, understanding, and emotional energy. As long as those things keep flowing, everything seems fine. But when the flow slows down, hidden expectations rise to the surface. This is why so many empaths end up in one-sided relationships without realizing it. What makes this so difficult is that empaths often see the best in people. They excuse bad behavior, forgive quickly, and focus on other people's pain instead of their own. But this strength can also become a weakness when it blinds them to patterns that are obvious to everyone else. People-pleasing then turns into guilt, exhaustion, and the habit of carrying burdens that were never theirs to carry. Eventually, exhaustion becomes impossible to ignore. It may come after betrayal, disappointment, or years of feeling unappreciated. That is when the questions begin. Why am I always the one sacrificing? Why do I feel guilty for protecting my peace? Why do some people only reach out when they need something? Those questions mark the beginning of awareness. And awareness changes everything. Once patterns become clear, they cannot be unseen. Once truth enters the picture, illusions begin to disappear. This is where many empaths stand between two worlds, one built on endless giving and one built on self-respect, healthy boundaries, and genuine connection. Crossing into that second world is not easy, but it is often the beginning of real freedom. In this video, you will discover what really happens when an empath stops pleasing everyone and starts seeing the truth. You will learn why some relationships fall apart when boundaries appear, why guilt keeps people trapped, and how to tell the difference between being loved for who you are and being valued only for what you provide. Because the greatest awakening for an empath is not discovering who other people truly are. It is discovering who they become when they finally stop abandoning themselves. Welcome to the channel. If you enjoy deep insights about human behavior, personal growth, and emotional intelligence, subscribe and join our community. Now, let's uncover what really happens when the empath stops pleasing everyone and starts seeing the truth. For many empaths, people-pleasing does not begin as a choice. It starts as a way to stay safe. They learn that keeping others happy reduces tension, avoids conflict, and creates acceptance. Over time, they become the person who listens, smooths things over, and calms difficult situations. At first, this feels rewarding. Helping others feels meaningful. Being needed feels important. They say yes because they genuinely want to help and do not want anyone to suffer. But slowly, a shift happens. Each time the empath ignores their own needs, those needs become easier to ignore. Their own desires begin to matter less and less. They become so focused on understanding everyone else that they stop understanding themselves. The hidden cost of always saying yes is not just exhaustion, it is invisibility. Their boundaries weaken, their identity becomes tied to what they can provide instead of who they are. What makes this even harder is that giving often creates expectations. At first, people are grateful, but what is repeated often starts to feel normal. Requests become demands, favors become obligations. The empath begins to feel pressure to keep giving even when they are drained. Many convince themselves that if they just give a little more, they will finally receive the appreciation they have been hoping for. But relationships built on one person constantly giving and another constantly receiving often become unbalanced. Eventually, frustration grows. The empath notices they are tired, overwhelmed, and carrying responsibilities that do not belong to them. Then one day a question appears. What if I stopped? Not forever, not out of anger, just long enough to see what happens. That question often comes after disappointment, betrayal, or burnout. Emotional exhaustion reveals what patience has hidden. There comes a point when the empath can no longer carry everyone else's burdens. Their energy runs low. Their motivation fades. For the first time, they say no, and immediately guilt appears. Am I selfish? Am I letting people down? Am I becoming a bad person? For someone used to putting others first, even a small boundary can feel frightening. At first, the guilt is strong, then confusion follows, because something unexpected happens. The world does not collapse. Healthy relationships remain healthy. People who truly care continue caring. But others react differently. Some become irritated, some grow distant, some act as if the empath has changed. That is when the truth becomes clear. Boundaries reveal what was hidden. The people who respected the empath as a person usually respect the boundary. Others react badly because they were more attached to access than to connection. The relationship worked as long as the empath kept giving. Once that access is limited, the foundation is exposed. This is painful because it forces the empath to see that some people loved the help more than the person giving it. They loved the support, the attention, and the availability. But real connection requires mutual care, reciprocity, and respect. As the empath keeps observing, they begin to notice manipulation hidden beneath kindness. Guilt is used as a tool. Emotional pressure is disguised as concern. They start asking themselves why certain people only called when they needed something, why some friendships felt draining, and why they always felt responsible for everyone else's feelings. Little by little, the answers become clear. The truth was never fully hidden. It was just hard to see through endless empathy. Empaths often explain away harmful behavior because they focus on pain instead of patterns, and intentions instead of outcomes. Then comes the hardest realization of all. The biggest truth is not about other people. It is about themselves. They begin asking why they were afraid to say no, why they needed everyone to be happy with them, and why rejection felt unbearable. Many discover they were seeking approval, fearing rejection, and tying their self-worth to their usefulness. Being needed felt like being valued, being helpful felt like being loved, being available felt like being important. Recognizing this can hurt. It can feel like an old identity is falling apart, but it also brings freedom. Once they understand the beliefs driving their behavior, they can change them. They begin building a healthier relationship with themselves. They learn that their worth is not based on sacrifice. They learn that saying no does not make them selfish. They learn that protecting their energy is not cruelty. They learn that compassion and boundaries can exist together. A person can care deeply and still say no. A person can love deeply and still set limits. A person can help others without abandoning themselves. This changes everything. The empath still cares. They still support people. They still show kindness. But now their actions are driven by choice, not guilt. And choice creates freedom. As their energy returns, exhaustion fades, clarity improves, confidence grows, their relationships begin to change too. Some end, others become stronger. The people who truly value them stay. The ones who depended on unlimited access drift away. What remains is smaller, healthier, and more peaceful. Less drama, less emotional chaos, less pressure to rescue everyone, more honesty, more self-respect, more authenticity. The awakened empath eventually understands that the goal was never to stop loving people. The goal was to learn how to care for others without disappearing in the process. At the end of this journey, one truth becomes clear. When the empath stops pleasing everyone, life does not become darker. It becomes clearer. The confusion fades, the masks fall, and the truth begins to show. For years, many empaths believe they must keep everyone happy to earn love and acceptance. They carry burdens that were never theirs and sacrifice their peace for others. But real love does not require constant self-sacrifice, and real respect does not disappear when boundaries appear. The biggest transformation is not learning who others are. It is understanding your own worth. Your value was never tied to how much you give or how much pain you carry. So if you have been giving more than you receive, let this be your reminder. You do not have to abandon yourself to be a good person. You do not have to exhaust yourself to be loved. Thank you for watching. If this message resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with someone who always puts others first. Your support helps this message reach more people who need it. Remember, the strongest people are not the ones who give everything away. They are the ones who know when to step back and protect their peace. The moment you stop chasing approval is often the moment you begin finding yourself. And sometimes, the greatest act of love is choosing not to abandon yourself. Subscribe for more videos like this, and we'll see you in the next On Top.